There we are, we're live. Welcome everybody. This is Sandhills Shooter, and this is another 2A Tuesday chat. Number 10, if you're keeping track. Uh-oh, somebody didn't mute her phone. Which means I need to make sure that my YouTube isn't going to do it too. Okay, we're muted. Good deal. Wow, I almost made my own faux pas there. That would have been bad. All right, so those of you who log into my shows expecting something super professional should know better by now. But welcome everybody. We'll go through real quick here and take a little bit of roll call here on the YouTube side. We've got Boob Sweat is in the house. We've got David Bowling in the chat and on the side. We've got Ashley J out there. Ashley, if you want to jump in, you've got a link, I think, in your inbox. Grim90 has taken the night off from teaching the youth in Illinois to join us. Two Live Moo is in the house. We've got Sandhills Sweetheart in the chat and sitting just off the camera beside me. She's here as well. And then Georgia Trucker 69 is trying to eat while he listens to the chat. So we need to tell all the jokes we can. No, I'm kidding. We don't want him to joke on his food. So welcome everybody to the chat. We will let everybody introduce themselves here on the panel. We've got some guests that we don't typically get to see with us tonight. So, oh, I didn't see my email, Ashley. If you, hopefully you get it to work and you can join in with us, because we'll get some good perspectives from you too. So we'll just go through and let everybody say hi and just introduce themselves. For those of you that have some YouTube channels, go ahead and plug your channels. And those of you who are guests, we'll let you talk about any organizations that you're part of. So we'll start with Mr. David Bowling, the kingpin himself.
How's it going, everybody? I appreciate the invite, and I always join good conversation.
Yeah, well, I always try to have one. I don't make it that way, but my guests always do, so it's always fun. And real quick, just so everybody knows, David made a video here a while back where he showed off this sign that he made, which is it's our channel logo along with my name and Sandhills Sweetheart's name in lime green with the lime green ribbon to support us as Sandhills Sweetheart fights the lymphoma that she's fighting with right now. So we do appreciate you being a supporter, David. It's good to have friends. And then the American flag that is hanging behind me is also courtesy of Mr. Bowling. So we thank you for your support. All right, moving right along, we've got Patricia Harrell joining us.
Hi, everybody. President of the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association, and I'm also the Nebraska state leader of the Well-Armed Woman shooting chapters.
Awesome to have you here. And Patricia's been on a chat a time or two with me before, but typically she's busy doing all of those jobs, wearing those hats, along with a full-time job and another full-time job being a mom, so she doesn't get to join us very often. So it's always nice to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And then next up, we've got Robert with us. And I just drew a blank on your last name. Go ahead and introduce yourself. If you want to give your last name, you're welcome to.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was I'm Robert Bertrand with Help50.org. Also run the Armed Citizen Project Facebook page. So go on there and share our memes.
Absolutely. And I didn't put a link to the Facebook page. You guys are welcome to find that, The Armed Citizen. But up at the top of the YouTube chat, I have posted a few websites. So we've got Robert's website, help50.org, and then nebraskafirearms.org, also the wellarmedwoman.com, and then the website for our next guest, skipstacticalsolutions.com, is up there as well. Skip, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Hi, guys. My name is Skip Avery Skipalis, and I am a firearms instructor here in Tampa, Florida, and my business is Skip's Tactical Solutions.
Awesome. And thanks for being here. All right, moving right along. If you're at a point where you can say hi, Squib. Hi.
Hi, coming to you from very close to the Motor City. I've been on gun channels for a few years and just started doing YouTube videos, I think, last year, whatnot. But I'm a Pro 2A guy. I've been into guns for a long time. I just haven't been much on the social media thing. I have other stuff on my channel, other things other than just guns, because I want people to see that just because you're Pro 2A doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you ever think about. It's the only thing you ever do. It's the only hobby you have. It's all that you're about, because we all have different interests, and we all bring something different to the table when it comes to the Pro 2A community, and we can all be good support for each other when we're looking for resources, information, you name it. We're out there. I mean, you can even get a recipe from somebody if you need it, right?
That's right. Heck yeah. There's always a good recipe for a candy bar sandwich out there somewhere. I think we can find a good candy bar sandwich video that Squib made. If you have not gone to Squib's channel and checked out that candy bar sandwich, man, you got to do that. That looks delicious. Just needs ketchup. All right. All right. And I saw you squeak in right as we clicked the button to go live, Travis. So welcome.
Hey, yeah, man. Appreciate the invite. Thank you. My channel is called Travis P11. It's over on, Travis P11 over on YouTube. I'm also on gunchannels.org with a Saturday morning podcast called Caliber Corner at 8 a.m. Central Time. And many times, Sandhills Shooter joins me on that podcast, as well as Squib and David Bowling. So it's good to see you guys over there, and appreciate the invite, man. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Always a pleasure to have you along. And then I don't think this is Paul. Is this Ashley that's joined us from Gunstreamer?
It's Ashley.
All right. It's showing up as Paul. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not actually talking to Paul and calling him Ashley, because that would be embarrassing.
No, I was trying to get it to work, but it wasn't working the way I was hoping. So.
Well, you're here either way. So feel free to introduce yourself, and then you can introduce Gunstreamer as well.
All right. I'm Ashley. Like you said, I'm with Gunstreamer.
And anybody who doesn't know what gunstreamer.com is, you need to go check that platform out as well. Gunstreamer is very friendly to those of us who post videos up with guns. You can even have a video where you can bump fire, as long as it's still legal to show that. You can have a video where you disassemble and then reassemble your firearm, and you don't get a channel strike. So Gunstreamer's nice to us. And those of you with YouTube channels, Gunstreamer will, for free, they will upload your entire library to a channel on their platform. And then I've also got it set up to where everything that I post here just automatically goes there. I don't even have to lift a finger. So that's really cool that it works that way. So thanks for joining us. And then another late entry, we're glad to have Patriot in the Dark with us.
Well, hello, sir. Sorry, I was running behind today.
That's okay. Better late than never. So go ahead and if you want to introduce your channel, and we've got a few people who have never been with us before. So if you want to just tell a little bit about who you are and what you do and why you carry a gun, that would be cool.
All right. Well, I'm Patriot in the Dark. I'm on guntube.org, Gunstreamer, and YouTube. I'm also a Gun Channels member. I've been over there for just under 2 years, I guess. But since Father's Day this year, I actually came out and told everybody that I am 100% blind. So I am a blind shooter. I do have my CPL, and I love the Second Amendment. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I kind of throw a little twist to it. So.
Yeah, well, and this chat tonight is not only about women arming themselves. This is about anybody who who might have some sort of a physical disability, for instance, being blind, and having a firearm to defend yourself against an attacker is definitely going to tip the odds more towards your favor. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. We've got a few more people have joined us over here on the YouTube side. We've got Rob D, New York Outcast has joined us. Travis T, Caleb Popejoy are in the house. So I won't go through and shout everybody out as they join, but I'll try and go through and wrap back up later and catch everybody once we wrap up. And then moving over to the Gun Channels side, in the Gun Channels chat, we've got General Relativity is here. We've got Yoder, Texas, PTR Lover, USMC 1812. So welcome everybody there as well, joining us on the gun channels side. So real quick, if you have not yet been to gunchannels.com and become a member, it's free and it's a really cool place to be. So all right, so I'm just going to go through, and I know that I always say that we typically do roundtable discussions, but tonight with a few newer people. Oh, Robert, you're in the chat too. I see you there, and you're with us. So welcome both places. But we're going to go through and give everybody kind of a chance to just give any personal stories. If you've ever had to use your firearm to defend yourself, or just the reason why you joined us to begin with. So David, I don't, as far as I know, you don't have any physical impairments that you've ever shared with us, so you might not have a whole lot to share. But do you know anybody who's the firearm has been the deciding factor in keeping them safe?
Yes and no. A lot of the people who I know that have defended themselves with firearms aren't legal gun owners. And other than that, all the legal gun owners that I know, the only time they've had to defend themselves with firearms if they were police officers or military. So as far as regular civilians go, nobody that I know has actually had to defend themselves with their firearm.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm thinking probably you know a lot of stories, or you've heard a lot of stories, Trish. So if you have any stories you want to share with us.
Sure. The Well Armed Women organization, which is one that I'm extremely proud to be a part of, was founded by a woman named Carrie Lightfoot, who in her own personal journey faced the threat of violence to herself and to her family when she was a single mom, and unfortunately had a relationship with someone who wasn't all quite safe. We'll just use those words. And she found it really difficult during that time. The industry wasn't as welcoming or open to women, and she found it difficult to find firearms that fit her. She couldn't find accessories, and she really had a horrible time finding training. Being involved in this organization has given me an opportunity to work with several women who have faced situations where a firearm would have made a difference, would have kept them from grievous bodily harm. There have also been women I've trained who knew that something like that would likely happen, and during the course of their training, they were able to defend themselves with their firearm.
Awesome, and thank God that they were, right? So
yeah,
we unfortunately we live in a world where everything doesn't always go nicely, and you want to hope that nothing bad ever happens to yourself or a loved one, but at the same time, you definitely need to be prepared for just in case it does. So, fellas, I'm going to skip over to all of the ladies first and let the ladies speak, and then we'll come back through and catch everybody else up. So, Ashley, do you have any personal stories you'd care to share, or stories that you have heard from other people?
Personally, I don't have any stories to share. I thankfully haven't had to use a firearm to protect myself. Hopefully it stays that way. Being a single mom, it definitely does give me a sense of advantage. Does make me feel like I can protect my kids. Haven't really experienced anything through people I know that have had to use a firearm to protect themselves. Hopefully that stays that way too.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up with guns, so I know how to handle them and everything, and they don't scare me, if you will. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that you don't have any horrible stories to share. Actually, it's nice. It is nice to know that you've kind of taken that mama bear stance to where you are prepared in case anybody does try to mess with you or your kids. So, all right, Skip. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, all three of the ladies that we have here in the panel that have joined us there, I think you all are mothers, if I'm not mistaken. So you all kind of have that same thing going. So Skip, I think I know the least of the three ladies. I know the least about you and your story. So if there's anything you want to share, whether it's personal experience or how you got into training and if not your own experiences, I'm sure you've heard some horror stories from some students in your classes.
So I'm actually active duty military, and I did not grow up around firearms. So about my 4.5 year mark in the military, I kind of wanted a challenge. The job that I was doing, I should have had a lot of knowledge, but it was one of those things where they kind of push you through the class, and it wasn't really something that I was really interested in. So I kind of challenged myself to just learn something new and became a firearms instructor. And I knew very little about firearms, but I wanted a skill that I knew would transfer to civilian life and something that would just protect me for the rest of my life. Like that would be something that I could never go wrong with. So 10 years ago, I became a firearms instructor. And when it came to guns, I was never scared of guns, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge. And I became an instructor and just really broadened my knowledge to where I could educate others outside of the military. You know, when it came to my family didn't have a lot of firearms experience. So, you know, when they would see me with a gun or hear me say I'm going to the range, you know, I could really educate them on why I was doing what I was doing. But as you did say, you know, I am a mother and my spouse is military as well. And I'm only 5'2". So when it comes to a male, you know, I can never really go hand to hand with a male and really win that. So there will be times where I will be home alone with my children, and there's nothing as frightening as, you know, you may feel like something's going to happen and you know there's nothing that you can do, you know. So I decided to start to carry because here in Tampa, the crime rate is pretty significant, you know, and you never know where you're going to encounter something. So I could be at the grocery store or I could be at home, and I just wanted to be just prepared for if anything happened. So I personally have never had to use my firearm, but I will tell you, if the situation arises that, you know, I've trained for that day. And I like to educate people on making sure they're doing realistic training so that when that day does come, you know, they're not going to get stage fright. They're going to be able to defend themselves and possibly their family as well. You know, I love law enforcement, but at the same time, I need to be alive to actually call 911 to come and assist me.
Awesome. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Okay, I got a couple people that I think I've got room for maybe one more person to join us. So we'll see if we can get Sarge in here with some law enforcement experience too. Sarge, I did send you a link. I didn't read your email, but I'm thinking that's probably why you emailed me. So,
one thing I did want to add though is, you know, I do have a lot of female students that want to take a class or they want to inquire about training. And I do find that a lot of females kind of wait until they become a victim, you know, and now they're doing it and they're scared. So I like to educate women on, you know, if you can properly defend yourself, then maybe you can not have to deal with that situation for the rest of your life. So if there's anything that I can say tonight that's going to hit home with anyone, you know, just being prepared and just be proactive when it comes to your self-defense.
Sure. You know, and that makes me think of a video that Thunder Ranch has posted up on YouTube. If you've never listened to Clint Smith talk, he's rough around the edges, and you don't want to have little ears in the room when you're playing the video. But Clint's wisdom is amazing, and he's got a video where he describes a lady that came to his class once who did not look like the typical pro 2A person, and this lady had been against guns her whole life until she got attacked and got messed up, needed plastic surgery and a lot of rehab to get back to where she could even function day to day. And it sticks in my mind that Clint said, hell hath no fury like a ticked off liberal. And that's one way that we're going to get some liberal people to, to be pro-gun, is unfortunately they're going to have to go through a bad experience. So it's horrible that has to happen to somebody before they decide to become prepared. But if anything, if we can get even one person to take that step and be proactive and be prepared before something bad happens, then this will be a successful chat tonight. So that's awesome. All right, so we're going to let the fellas chime in here a little bit. Patriot, have you got any stories where carrying your gun has actually been a difference maker for you, or are you being proactive and just preparing yourself in hopes that day never comes?
It's definitely proactive. I've never had to use one. I was in the military prior, so I mean that kind of stuff. But I've only been blind since maybe 2010 or 11. I can't even remember. That's bad, isn't it?
It's only bad if you know the exact date. That means you're dwelling on it, right? So
yeah, that was my prior life. Now I'm in my new life. So it's being a single parent, and I've had houses near mine get broke into, and mine on each side of me kind of thing, and they seem to stay away from me, hopefully. But it's to be prepared, and I have a child, and obviously the protection, and so, but I don't have any stories as far as people thinking I'm crazy, gun shops, that kind of thing, but that's all wore off. Everybody knows me now. So.
Or maybe they're just trading glances and you just never see it. So
they're giving me nods.
I'm sitting here nodding as you're talking, and I'm assuming that you can see me, and I should know better. But I'm glad that we can make jokes too. So all right.
That never has bothered me. I make just as many jokes as anybody. So
well, and that's one future chat that I want to have at some point on my channel is where we can have somebody who's disabled. We can have people with different amounts of melanin in their skin, and we can talk about how there's so many white elephants in the room. If we want to be PC, we're so afraid of offending anybody anymore that we can't even talk about the things that make us different, that bring us together still. And sometimes I'm scared to even bring something up with somebody, and I hate that. I hate having to walk on eggshells because I'm afraid I might offend somebody about something that really doesn't even matter.
So you never have to worry about that with me. So
cool. All right.
Have fun with it. So.
All right. Robert. I know with your organization, do you want to tell us a little bit about what that organization does, and then why you got into that, and if you have any stories from anybody that made you decide to do this?
Well, I was active duty military back in, from 2004 to 2014. And I found Kyle Copeland around the beginning. It was a little bit after the Sandy Hook massacre, unfortunately. And he had started up his organization, the Armed Citizen Project. And his idea was twofold. He wanted to give single moms and widows access to shotguns and training, and to help them feel a little safer and be a little safer in their own homes. And at the other end of the spectrum, he wanted to take statistical data from that to see if they could deter crime in high crime neighborhoods. Of course, he went on CNN, did all that fun stuff, got kicked off the Piers Morgan show before he could even get on. And they did arm, I think, about 15 to 20 women. And but eventually, things just fell through. After I got out of the military, I moved up to Southern Illinois a couple years later, and recently I got into a position where I had a lot of stability in my my work, and I was able to kind of give back to the community. And I live in a small town, Mount Vernon, Illinois, and there's a lot of single women who live by themselves in fairly nasty neighborhoods, and a lot of people who sleep uh, under the covers, pull them over their heads because they can't ensure that there's not going to be somebody busting in through their front door. So since I started doing this, I've gotten a lot of emails from people all over the state and all over the country, just women who are afraid because they live in bad neighborhoods. They've been attacked. And many women who just don't want to be attacked, and whatever they can do to get the training and get the tools for self-defense, they will do it. And I got really lucky my first couple of weeks. I raised $2,000, and I have handed over 4 shotguns, and I'm about to hand over another one this Sunday at our first training. It's going to be cold outside, but they're going to do it. They're strong women, so I have all the faith in the world that they are going to do excellent. And so I'm going to be able to give my 5th shotgun away and help them a little bit. As for personal experiences, I've been in several situations where I would really have liked to have a gun. In the state of Illinois, it is hard to get a concealed carry permit. I still do not have one. I'm still working on it. Not that long ago, I got my FOID card, which is registered gun ownership, which is unconstitutional, but I had to do what I had to do for the state of Illinois. And I've been in a lot of situations. One of the jobs that I did before I got to my stability, which I don't want to mention because who knows who'll come after me. But I was on the road fixing hospital equipment, and I would go to Chicago, and I would go to nasty parts of Missouri and St. Louis, and so I was constantly traveling, and I was constantly put into situations where I had to present myself like I was more dangerous than I actually was, because I don't want to go to jail. I've got 2 kids, I can't really be a good dad from inside of prison cells. So, but yeah, aside from the fact that I know plenty of people who've had to use a gun, however, not in the traditional sense. Defensive gun use is a defensive gun use. If you just have to brandish the gun to stop the crime from taking place, that's a win, and I count that.
Sure. That's the best kind of win if you can stop it before it happens, right? So, all right. So I haven't said hi yet, but we have Sarge from C4 Defense with us tonight. So we'll give you a little bit of time to play catch up and introduce yourself and your channel if you'd like to. And just I've got a few guests here that aren't normally here. So if you want to tell them what part of the world you're in and what you do for a living, and then you can share any stories. I think you probably see a lot of junk that you just as soon unsee. I'm sure that's the case for you, Sarge.
Hi, man. Yeah, I appreciate the invite. I've seen quite a bit of offensive and defensive gun use. I'm a law enforcement officer, sergeant on patrol, do other stuff as well as far as with the agency, and teach concealed carry on the weekends on occasion. And really, I got into YouTube just so I could do free videos. That's why I started doing this and started really enjoying the live chat. So maybe I can help, maybe I can't. I just like to put in my 2 cents sometimes.
Sure. Well, and I appreciate the perspective, because as far as the guests that I've met to invite here on 2A Tuesday, you're the only law enforcement officer that I know of to invite who likes to join and give the 2 cents. So your perspective is always welcome. You see a lot of things, and you think about a lot of things that maybe the rest of us don't necessarily think about day to day. So you do bring an interesting viewpoint to the chat. So it's always awesome.
I try. Yeah. It's the best I can do.
Absolutely. Do you have any stories that stick in your mind as far as defensive use of a handgun where
Oh gosh.
either a female or someone with physical disabilities, had the gun was their equalizer?
Oh man, I've got multiple. I would oh my gosh, you kind of put me on the spot. I mean, yeah, I've got several, and if the person uses common sense, it is definitely the equalizer, and that's one of the reasons why people should carry, and that's why I choose to teach concealed carry. It's not for the money, because there's plenty of times that I don't break even on a day when you just try to even count out like how much return you're getting for the hours invested. So that's not the issue. I do it because I've seen several times where someone having a gun is the difference between them getting injured or them being the victim of an attack when they can protect themselves. Because I don't know where everyone lives and if you're in a city, you have a lot of people around, but you also have a lot of potentially bad people around. If you're out in the country, yes, there's less potentially bad people, but you're also that much further away from any assistance. So man, you got to be able to take care of yourself, because there's an old saying, and it's 100% true, that when seconds count, the police are minutes away. So you got to take care of yourself until we can get there to do what we can.
Absolutely. And I say that a lot, not just on YouTube, but with day-to-day conversations every now and then, I'll actually get a chance to talk when I'm at work. I don't generally get too political or too pro 2A when I'm on the clock, just because number one, they're not paying me for that, and number two, I'm in retail sales, so it's not always good to have an opinion about politics or religion in that situation. But sometimes I get the chance to actually just bring it up, and I'll say that exact thing. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away, and to hear someone who it's your job to go and basically pick up the pieces, because you can't be everywhere at once, and unfortunately you can't be there to be the deterrent. It's just, even though it's a horrible truth, it's still true. So,
but it's the reality.
It is,
and people have to accept that there's a total difference between the way it should be and the way that it is.
Absolutely.
So you have to be able to. And by becoming a licensed concealed carrier, or a legal concealed carrier, whatever the law dictates in your state, it's just a good peace of mind. It doesn't make anyone, tougher than they normally are. If they're thinking about that, then that's the wrong mindset to have. It just gives someone peace of mind that they're going to be okay, even if something bad happens. They're going to be okay.
And I know from personal experience, I've heard the term sheepdog thrown around a lot, and I as a licensed concealed carrier, I don't think of myself as a sheepdog. I think of myself as maybe a sheepdog, but only for my wife. She's my flock that I protect, not everybody. It's not my job to be Batman. I'm not
exactly.
a vigilante, and it's not my job to do yours. It's my job to keep myself and my family safe. And
exactly, and that's you doing your part.
Yeah, I don't go looking for fights, and I go looking for trouble, and that's how 99% of all licensed or legal concealed carriers are. We're not trying to get into gunfights here. That's something that Travis and I had talked about earlier today in the conversation we had. Is people are worried if we let some of these laws up a little bit and get rid of gun-free zones or something like that, we might have the wild west again. Well, first of all, if you do your history, the Wild West wasn't very wild. And second of all, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think that knowing that everybody is armed or could be armed keeps everybody polite, keeps everybody from escalating things. So I'd just like the chance to prove it once.
Yeah, that you bring up a great point. I just read an article about a really interesting study that demonstrated that in states where in the last few years we've recently achieved constitutional carry, or they went from may issue to will issue for concealed carry, they did some statistical analysis to look at the before and after effects with regards to violent crime. And what was interesting about the focus of the study was it wasn't looking at whether crime was reduced. What they were countering was the often said statement that the proliferation of firearms is what's going to cause an increase in crime. And so when I go to the unicameral in our state and I lobby for effective gun legislation, I always hear the argument that I am so pro-gun that I just want guns everywhere in the streets, and that proliferation, the number of arms in our communities, are why gun violence is so prevalent. So over this 15-year study, they were able to determine there is literally no correlation nor causation with regards to the number of firearms with results with when in fact, crimes are occurring for completely different reasons. They love to ignore what I love in statistics, which is root cause analysis. What causes crime to happen, whether it's violent crime or property crime or crime for profit? It has nothing to do with the tools that may or may not be available. It has to do with the internal motivations, the values and ethics of a particular person and or community. And if we don't deal with the root cause, we're going to constantly be putting these band-aids of legislation that inhibit freedoms that are guaranteed by our Constitution, and they're not going to have the effect.
That's 100% true. They're just trying to cure the symptoms,
Yeah.
not the actual root cause.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on an amputation.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing no good whatsoever to try and cure those symptoms. So, all right. So I've got a couple folks here that I haven't had a chance to get to yet. So we'll go back through and then we'll kind of open this up more to a round table a little bit. But Squib, do you have any anecdotes or instances where, folks that you yourself know, because from what I understand, you're not a diminutive statured person yourself. So when it comes down to it, you could probably hold your own in a fist fight. But, do you know anybody who the gun's been the equalizer for them?
Not really. Not really. Here's the thing. When I talk about concealed carry and about being armed, and I talk about my personal experience with it, some people think that I'm not for concealed carry, or that I don't think everybody should carry or be able to carry. And that's absolutely untrue. That's the opposite. I think you should be able to carry anything, anywhere, at any time, period. As long as you're not the bad guy, as long as you're not a criminal, as long as you're an adult, as long as you're a citizen, what's the big deal? If everybody's got a gun, the armed society is a polite society thing. It's I believe in the whole deterrent thing. I believe in being able to counter a threat with force. The thing is, when in Michigan, it used to be that if you wanted to get a concealed carry permit, you had to be a business owner or retired law enforcement. They just really weren't giving them out to the average citizen. They changed the laws here, and when they did, I was in one of the first classes that they had, and one of the first groups that got a concealed pistol license. Even after I got it, I didn't carry every day. I wasn't allowed to carry it at work, and there were lots of other places I couldn't take it, like school or in the daycare or whatever it was. Not to mention, this is the thing that I think gets people to think that I don't agree with concealed carry. I'm not afraid. And I'm not saying you are if you carry every day. I think it should be your right. And if you do, do. And if you don't, don't. But there's a lot of places I go and a lot of things I do where, and I realize anything could happen anywhere to anybody. You could be in a place that you've been 500 times and nothing's happened, and that 501st time it could happen. But in general, nothing has really happened. However, I've seen some near misses, and those near misses are more than enough for me to think that in my life, what's more important to me is I have that right. I have that choice. And everybody should have that right and have that choice, as long as, like I said, they're a citizen, they're an adult, they're not a criminal. And whether or not you choose to exercise it, or whether or not you exercise it every day, whether you strap a hand cannon on your hip, or whether you got a tiny little, single shot tucked away in your pocket, whatever works for you, where you're at, I feel that is the best thing that we could do. It's part of getting rid of the whole gun-free zone thing, to reduce crime, to deter crime, and to protect our citizens, and to make us we're the freest country in the world. We need to be doing this. And when I say do this, once again, it's personal choice. If you want it, use it. If you don't want it, you don't have to. But the near misses, fortunately, nothing ever happened with anybody. And in general, I feel pretty safe where I live. If I didn't, I'd move because I have a family to take care of. But I will say that even something as simple as walking your dog, I've had 2 dogs go through somebody's broken fence and come at my dog. And what if I needed that firearm to put those dogs down? I mean, it's not always a human threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've said that many times myself. Living in a rural area, not the town that I'm in. We've still got 25,000 people, but not very far from here, there have been big cat tracks, and where I grew up and where I hunt deer, every now and then there's a sighting of a cougar, and there's coyotes. You never know when, even just a raccoon or something with rabies, or a skunk. I mean, these things are real threats in the rural part of the world, and sometimes in town. And yeah, not all predators have 2 legs. So,
and I don't like the fact that our state doesn't have a lot of laws protecting us if we have to use a firearm lawfully in a self-defense situation. One of the best laws we've got is you can't be sued. If you're proven to be innocent of murder, you can't be sued for damages to the air quotes victim, even though they're the perpetrator. That's one of the good things about it. But I don't like the fact in our state we're not allowed to brandish. And I get why they have that. They have that because they don't want people to escalate. Because there's too many people that would just pull out a gun and make it worse. There's a time where you leave it concealed, and there's a time where you pull it. And not everybody has the best judgment. But I don't agree with that law. I believe that brandishing can stop more often than it can escalate. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't have any facts to back that up. Overall, though, we live in a pretty good state. I mean, you can open carry with no permit. Everybody can get a concealed carry permit if you're of age and you don't have a criminal record. Firearms are plentiful here. And it's more important for me that my wife has a way to defend herself when I'm not around, because I'll use whatever I've got to protect her. I'll lay down my life if that's what it takes to protect her. Well, I'm not always there. Obviously, I'm just getting off work. We're on opposite shifts. This is the first time in a long time we've been on opposite shifts, and I don't like it. Fortunately, I've got 2 sons and a big dog at home, so I'm really not that worried. But if she was out in town, I want her to have that equalizer, because she's small and she doesn't know hand-to-hand combat or anything like that. So it's important for me that people have that option. I don't understand why our politicians. Well, I do understand why our politicians want to take that option away from us. Somebody summed it up really, really good the other night. They were talking about how they want us to be dependent on the state for our own defense, and if we're dependent on the state, we are not able to defend ourselves from threats, whether it be from an attacker, from a criminal, or from a 4-legged threat in the woods. Then you're not going to be able to defend yourself from the government if they ever decided to, go tyrannical. And I'm not trying to go tinfoil hat and go all 2A, but I mean, it is kind of, it's one of the things that's kind of disappointing that the Supreme Court ruled that you're responsible for yourself, that the police are not responsible to protect you. And the whole seconds and minutes away thing is a true thing. But the thing is, the underlying reason why they don't want to protect us, or they don't want to let us protect ourselves, and they use public safety as an excuse. It's disappointing.
Absolutely. All right. And Travis, now I don't know that you have any personal anecdotes within your family, and maybe you do, so feel free to share them. But also your perspective as an educator is also unique usually to this show. We don't have a lot of teachers typically in the panel. My wife was an educator at one time in her life. She's not now, but just in general, maybe not as far as personal safety. The gun isn't always an equalizer, for somebody like yourself, but you're in charge of a lot of lives every day.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll just say I don't know anybody personally that's had experiences where they've had to draw a firearm to defend their lives, other than people that were military or police. And I will also say that I've had 3 close family members, 2 blood relatives, and my best friend and his wife, who through watching our podcasts and kind of what we do, what we put on for programs and stuff, they've since purchased firearms and have taken training, and they now have an ability to defend themselves. Some of them with concealed carry permits. So here I've got family members that before checking out our podcast and gun media had never really ever considered purchasing firearms. And after having discussions with me and some range trips and some training, they're now armed. And so I feel better about their safety. So that's been a wonderful experience, just being able to change a person's perspective about their personal safety. From the standpoint of being an educator in charge of lots of lives, you see the school shootings that happen, and there's always, you don't make it an active thought all the time. Oh man, this is going to happen today when I go to school. I feel like, you got to keep that thought in the back of your mind. You do have some thoughts about what you would do if something was to happen. You obviously need to know school protocol. You need to know your safety training and so on. But you still feel incredibly vulnerable, knowing as an unarmed educator that if you would have a firearm on you, that you would have the best chance possible at defending the students should you have somebody try to come into your room, or you confront somebody in the hallway that has a firearm that's coming at you. So yeah, you feel like a fish in a barrel. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. That's how you feel. But again, you focus on your job, you do what you got to do, but you always keep it in your mind, if something's going to happen, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to defend these kids? How long can we hold out before somebody gets in our classroom? So if you had those thoughts that something was going to happen and you're so paranoid about it, you wouldn't be able to do your job. But it's really. And there are other teachers in my school that would be more than willing to carry if the state would allow us, but they don't. So, I don't know where to go from there, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. And that goes back to the whole concept of, what Trish was saying when she has to talk before the unit camel in Lincoln is, I don't think any of us are advocating to arm everybody or to arm every teacher in a school or anything like that. And Lord knows we don't want everybody to own a gun. I mean, there are some people that I know that I hope don't have a gun.
Yeah.
At the same time, those people have never committed a crime, and if they do own a gun, they're within their legal rights to do so. But we're in no way advocating that every teacher should carry. I've heard that argument, or I did hear several places right after the horror in Florida, and people are like, well, I know a lot of teachers that just flat out would refuse. Well, okay,
good,
that's
fine.
That's
let
okay.
them.
And if you're not comfortable, then we don't want you to carry.
Yeah.
But there are people like yourself who, the state recognizes that you're not a criminal, that you've not been adjudicated mentally incompetent. You've passed all the background checks, and it is totally legal for you to walk down the street or to go play basketball in the park. Maybe not basketball if you're carrying, but go to Walmart, go to the grocery store. It's totally okay for you to carry your gun when you're doing those things. And yet somehow when you step foot onto school property, instantly it's not safe.
And I will say this, we do have an armed police officer in the school where I teach, but you've heard the expression before. We protect all of our valuables with firearms, our gold, our money, our Federal Reserves, our representatives, our governors, our government, etc. But we don't protect our children with the one thing that would be the great equalizer in the event of a mass shooter, Or we don't better arm people to better defend our kids. You might say, well, you've got an armed police officer. It's a big building. In the 2 minutes it could take for that person to get there, it could be over. In the 10 to 15 seconds it would take a teacher to see an active shooter and stop that kid, it could be done a heck of a lot sooner. So that's all I'm going to say. Time is the big factor. Time is a big factor. Yeah.
The only good thing about that is if it's known that you do have an armed resource officer there. That's a deterrent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not going to. Sure.
To the former students when they come back.
Yep.
Because most of them don't want any resistance.
Yeah, this is true.
So I don't know whether it's an intangible, but it's definitely a factor.
Yeah.
But in certain circumstances, that resource officer is bouncing between schools. They're not in the same building every every day
Yes.
or every hour of the school day.
Yes.
I know that at my son's high school, they park an old cruiser up front, but that guy's not in the building the whole time. So it looks like he is, but you can see him coming and going, and they say they lock the doors, but really there's so many ways in. And as a parent, it's kind of scary, but you can't live in fear. You can't sit there and just go, oh, well, I can't send my kids to school because what if? I mean, you've got to get on with life. But you know how, Travis, you were talking about arming the teachers. There are some teachers that are like the person that we've maybe talked to at work that is not the person that we would feel comfortable with them having a gun, only because they're a really nervous person, or they're not willing to be responsible. So nobody's saying we want to arm all the teachers. It's just the ones that are willing to take on that responsibility. I remember I had a conversation with somebody at work. He says, "You're a gun guy. What kind of gun do I want to get for home defense?" And I thought he was, he's a real nervous guy and all this. And I said, well, we got to find something that you're comfortable with taking to the range and practicing with, but also that you can use to protect your house. Oh, I don't ever want to shoot it. What do you mean you don't want to shoot it? I just want to have it. Well, what if you have to use it? Well, then I'll use it. Well, what if you don't know how to? Well, I don't actually want to have to shoot this thing. Maybe once if I have to, kill somebody breaking into my house, but otherwise I don't. It's like, all right, dude, you know what? You're the last person I want to have a gun, because you're the one that's going to shoot yourself in the foot or leave the thing out loaded and your kid's going to get a hold of it or whatever it is. How about a nice big dog for you? So, we're not saying that we have to force this down everybody's throats, but there's plenty of people like Travis who I would trust to protect my kid's life any day. And I just, it irritates me that guys like him are out there and they're willing to go that extra mile, and our government isn't willing to protect our kids, like he said, like the gold and everything else.
This whole conversation has really made me start thinking about just how important it is for all of us in the gun community, whether we're firearms instructors, whether we're working with the gun lobbies in our states at the local or state or national level. We have so much education we need to do. We need to get what we understand as common sense, what we understand as the fundamentals, what we understand as the benefits of firearms ownership and use out into the common world, because over the last few decades, what used to be common knowledge is no longer common. And that's why we're having these conversations where people just can't simply conceive of the need for a firearm in relation to protecting our children. Or the idea that violent criminal actors exist who have no morals, no ethics, no value for human life, and they can be in your small town, in your big city. We have a lot of educating to do.
Patricia, I agree with you. Just the other day, I learned that some guns could go fully semi-automatic, and I never knew that.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and they're more dangerous, apparently, when you go full semi-auto as opposed to
those are the ones that can get out of the gun safe by themselves, walk across the room, and shoot somebody on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that go fully semi-automatic.
Well, that's only possible in Massachusetts, so if you're not in Cambridge, you probably are okay there.
Yeah.
And did you also know that guns are known to cause cancer, but only in California?
Oh, yeah, I have seen that warning. Yeah. I was gonna ask Skip, since she's a sister in arms over in Tampa, prior military myself as well, and I remember my training and not to throw my U.S. Air Force out on the bus, but I thought if they were to arm us, then the war is over, because our firearms training was, let's just say it wasn't sufficient. What kind of experiences are you having with reaching out to women and kind of breaking some of these stereotypes that women capable or not ready or not physically, strong enough to handle firearms or to learn? How are you breaking down some of those stereotypes?
I think so I don't know a lot of, I'll call them civilians, right? Because the majority of the people that I deal with are military. But the way that I'm trying to go about it is because the people that know me as a average 5'2", woman with 2 kids, right?
Mhm.
So I want them to know if I can do it, then you can do it. I'm
Awesome.
no one different, nothing special. And I like to put, although I hate to put myself out there, I've
Mhm.
learned that if I put myself out there, that more people can relate to me. And so I use my kids as well because I want people to know that this can be something that you can do as a family. And I want to make it more women in the community that aren't
Mhm.
selling sex. You know, I'm selling knowledge. Like, I want women to be able to defend themselves because honestly, you're not always going to have a man around, you know? So I
Right.
feel like when I put myself out there and I'll do things like, because I own body carry and I off body carry.
Mhm.
I'm just secure in the person that I am, that no one can shame me in off body carrying, you know? And people will say, you know, oh, well, you're going to get this or that. And I'm like, okay, run up on me in a parking lot and see how quick I can get to my gun, you know?
Right. Right.
So, you know, I like to put pictures out there of myself and I'll do videos and I just, you know, I'll talk to people on a one-on-one basis. I do a weekly live video on my Facebook and my Instagram where if I get questions throughout the week, and I'll even open up a post like, send me whatever questions you have so that people can send me the questions and I'm going to go live and I'm going to answer them because I want them to feel comfortable enough with me to go, okay, well, man, she didn't know any of this. And man, she has 2 kids and man, she joined the live late because she was doing homework with her kids, you know? So if she can do it, then I can do it, you know? So I find that a lot of women they feel empowered by that. They see me with a gun and they're like, man, if you can do it, then I can do it. And I just know how to talk to women as well, because I've been that woman that, I mean, even now I'll go into a gun store and I'm not going to go in and announce, hey, I've been teaching for 10 years, you know, and someone will go, hey, this is the gun that you need, or hey, this is how much this costs. And I'm like, actually, no, that's not what I asked for. And no, that's overpriced, you know, and I just find, you know, when you get out there, you put yourself out there and people can relate to you because I'm the average woman, you know. I have bills just like everyone else, but I literally made it my mission because the Florida shooting was just too close to home for me, you know. I have 2 elementary, well, 1 elementary, 1 middle, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't put the knowledge that I had out there, you know. So by teaching parents that, you know, you can have a gun in your home and you just need to educate your children on it, you know, just take that curiosity away from it. And once your kids see, you know, when you go to the range and you shoot this thing, it's going to be loud, you know, it's not going to be a video game. And I try to relate everything as much to the human factor as possible. Like when I teach kids, because, you know, I'll go and do Great American Teaching with my kids, you know, and I talk about gun safety, or I do a kids class as well. And when I do that, my kids like video games. You know, my kids have Nerf guns. So I talk to them about that, you know. In a video game, you can shoot this guy 5 times, right? He's going to respawn. In real life, you cannot do that, you know. In real life, this gun is loud. You know, it's going to have recoil. And those are all things that once they're mentally prepared with those types of things, I think that they can better deal with those types of situations.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So glad you're doing that out there.
Thank you.
I agree with you on the off-body carry thing. I just want to know, from a woman's perspective, is it bad that I'm with my wife at the Michael Kors store, and she picked out 2 purses, and she liked them both equally, and she said, I just can't decide which one I want. You pick. And my deciding factor was, which one can you fit a 1911 in? Was that wrong of me?
No, I think that's great criteria. Great criteria.
You're to the side of safety to me.
Well,
you were actually in the store with her, so that's great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's bad for the rest of us that you just admitted that you were there. So.
The store in Las Vegas will keep feeding you champagne while your wife goes and spends a fortune. But, you know, I don't care. She can spend as much money as she wants on a purse. She's got a job. I mean, you know, I spend money on guns, and usually the response I get is, where's mine? So, I mean, it's only money. You can't take it with you.
That's right. That's right. All right. So we're just going to kind of open everything up to being a round table now. So anybody who wants to join in, we'll try and not walk on each other too much. I do have one question, and I'm gonna position this to the instructors, all of you, regardless of gender. But if we have any ladies out there that are listening right now or catch this later on, if somebody shares it, and we've got them thinking that maybe they would like to get into owning a firearm, maybe becoming proficient and carrying it, maybe not, but at least baby steps. The first step is to decide to own a firearm, right? So what's the best way to go about that if somebody just comes up to you out of the blue and says, hey, I've been thinking about it and I want to get a gun for safety. What do I do next? What do you tell them?
Let's go to the range.
It's great first advice.
So for me, when that happens, and it happens a lot of people know me in the state, and so I get a lot of referrals for that kind of thing. And so if someone wants a firearm for personal defense, I'm very much take a personal shopper approach. Firearms should fit you, and we've all purchased a gun that doesn't fit us later on after shooting it many times, and it's not like we can take it back. So I help them understand the ergonomics, the fit, the physics of the firearm, whether it's polymer or metal frame, what their preferences for recoil and size are. Definitely, I agree wholeheartedly with that recommendation of taking them to the range. I like to provide them an opportunity to shoot as many different kinds of frames and sizes and calibers as possible, because it's part of their journey. And the more personalized you can make the journey, the more comfortable they can be with the firearm of their choice, the more likelihood they're going to train with it and be on the range and get proficient. So many of us spend an enormous amount of time, whether it's sports or martial arts or whatever, weeks on weeks, hours on hours, training and learning. And yet this is the one skill that can make a life or death situation happen in your favor. And so I really like to encourage them to get trained, to get proficient. 2/3 of the time I spend in the community is for free on a volunteer basis. I am a firearms instructor. I teach concealed carry and many other courses, but the majority of the time I'm doing it pro bono just to expand the community and provide training. And so all of us can be resources in our community and help these people have a good and happy, welcoming entry into the community.
Do you think women are more likely to train with another woman when they first start out? I mean,
I think that's a good question. The organizations I belong, the Well Armed Woman Shooting Chapters, it's a nationwide nonprofit organization, and it was formed for that reason. Women tend to congregate together. They tend to like that sisterhood, that community. Men can teach women just as effectively as women can. But in the beginning, when you're maybe dealing with intimidation or other reasons for which women may not be comfortable with a man, having a resource like a female instructor is a great way to get the door open for them to go on and get further training. And so for me, I love training from anyone, as long as they're an effective instructor. But if that's what it takes for a woman to walk through the door, then so be it. It's up to her preference.
Now, real quick here before we go too much farther, we're getting a little bit of buzz around over in the YouTube chat about some of our guests and having YouTube channels. Skip, I know you have a YouTube channel because as I was doing some research, well in advance this week, and by that I mean earlier today, I did find that you have a YouTube channel and you've got some videos and some podcasts up there. So what is the name of your YouTube channel? Where can people find you?
So my YouTube is Skip's Tactical Solutions. I'm not really active on the YouTube. I do take, sometimes I'll take my Facebook Lives and I'll put them onto the YouTube, but I'm going to start doing better of keeping up with the YouTube. But I'm more active on the Facebook and the Instagram.
Okay, sure. And Trish, I know that you have a YouTube channel that you can join these chats with, but you don't typically post things to YouTube, do you? You're muted. I don't think we can hear you.
So for YouTube, I don't use YouTube for my training, but we do it for the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association. So we do have a YouTube page for NFOA, and it's just called Nebraska Firearm Owners. And that's where we talk about legislation and also education. So for instance, we had some recent talk about bump stock bans about a year ago that happened locally in our unicameral to ban both suppressors and bump stocks. So we did an educational video. So those are where we'll post that kind of information for folks in our state.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Well Armed Woman also has a YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure I've found videos there before.
And it's important to note there's the Well Armed Woman, which is a business, which is firearms accessories and so forth. And then the Well Armed Woman Shooting Chapters, which is the nonprofit extension. So there's a bit of a difference between the two.
Okay. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that.
Awesome. And then Robert, I know you've got the Armed Citizen Project on Facebook that you are managing, and then your help50.org. Are you doing anything as far as posting videos up on YouTube or social media besides on Facebook?
Well, I'm posting videos on the Facebook channel. I do have a YouTube video, which is you can actually go to the website help50.org, and you can see the first video of me arming the first 2 women. But I'm not really doing YouTube as much, just because it seems like they're coming down on us pretty hard.
Sure, yeah, and that's definitely you have to mind your P's and Q's to stay part of the community. But again,
I wanted to add something in regards to females coming into the 2A lifestyle. I know personality has a lot to do with it. I don't want to say a lot of the male instructors. Some of the male instructors that I've encountered, their personalities kind of clash with students. So there's been times where, the male instructors that I work with will go, "Hey, Skip, go deal with her," or, but it's all on the way that you come off, and I'm the same way. When it comes to firearms, I'm not really competitive at all. My journey is my journey, your journey is your journey, and I tell people, don't compare yourself to me. I've been an instructor for 10 years. Like, if you can get on the level of proficiency that I'm at, within 3 days, then there's a problem. So the personality of the instructor, and, I do think, it may do a lot of companies very well to have a female on their staff, because if the female is more comfortable with the female, then she's already gonna feel like, okay, maybe I can go ahead and take this step. But the personality has a lot to do with it. And I do agree with Patricia, taking them out to the range and having them try several firearms will give them that ability to make an educated decision. You don't want to pick, and I tell people, I'm all about being girly and all those types of things, but you don't want to pick something because of a color, because nowadays we can get everything Cerakoted. It can be the exact color that you want it to be after you get comfortable with this firearm, but
also don't have to pay that pink tax if you don't buy it pink, right?
Oh man. And I mean, it's just, and I tell my students, you would never go and buy a car before you test drive it, and when it comes to a firearm, it should be the same thing. You need to go out and shoot it and test it, and don't take someone else's word for it, because someone may think, oh, this is really good, and they really like that long trigger pull, but when it comes to you, you may not like that long trigger pull. So what's for you is for you, and what's for someone else is for them. But when it comes to women, I think they can easily be turned off from the community, whether it be, I've had a lot of women and it's their husbands, it's their approach. And I'll have guys that will reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, can you call my wife?" And I'm like, I think that would be a tad bit awkward, so I tell them, maybe send her one of my videos so she can watch my video, so she can hear my perspective on it. But, depending on the reason, and especially if the woman is not really, if she hasn't really found her reason, everybody has a reason, and you have to find that reason. And if she hasn't found it, it may be a slippery slope of, hey, go to the ranger. Hey, I bought you this. and now you need to go shoot it, or now you need to go carry it. Because normally when that happens, they don't carry it.
I can see that happening, and I can tell from personal experience. I don't often have moments where I did something super smart that I can brag about, but I did know better than to try and be the one to teach my wife to shoot. And when I bought my first pistol here a few years ago, right after we got together, I bought it a few months before I took my concealed carry class. And I grew up with guns in the house, and I've shot one thing or another, whether it be BB guns or rim fires or center fires, all my life. So I wasn't new to having a pistol, but I was new to having one that was mine and owning one. And so, when I bought that, we were on the way to my dad's ranch, and we did shoot a couple magazines worth, the day that I bought it, and I just wanted to get a feel for it. But when my wife shot that gun, it was the second time she'd ever shot a gun in her life. And the first time that she had been shooting, she watched her brother shoot his Raging Judge and said, "Oh, that looks cool. Can I try it?" And shot it once or twice, and that was her shooting experience up until that point. And so, the one of the few things that I claim to have done that was smart, besides marrying her, was I knew better than to try and be the one to teach her how to shoot. I think that I, a lot of the time, find a way to relate things to people and maybe can teach things to people oftentimes, but my spouse, I don't think that always the case. So earlier this year, we had the opportunity to meet up with Trish over in Omaha, and Trish was nice enough to take a couple hours and spend with my wife, and brought several different pistols, several different sizes, and let her try a few different things out. And we found out that that's very true, especially in her case, that finding the gun that fits. So many times a lady goes into a gun store to buy her first gun, and you'll get some guy who doesn't know any better. He's not necessarily being a jerk or trying to mansplain things. I think I know what that means now, but they'll say, well, here's a Glock 42, here's a Ruger LCP. You want something small.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife found out that the PPQ in 22 long rifle, actually, she shot that better than anything that day. And because the grip filled her hand right. And she shot the Glock 42 and hated it. She liked the laser that you had on that, Trish.
Yeah.
But she hated the gun.
Right.
So, just because you have small hands doesn't mean you need to carry a small gun necessarily. You need to get the one that you like the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely am 100% in agreement with that. And then, yeah, you can Cerakote it or color fill or whatever you want if you want to make it pretty after the fact, but function first and pretty second when it comes to saving your life. So we've gone kind of already past 10 o'clock here. I was going to try and keep this to about an hour. I'm going to let everybody go back through and kind of wrap up. But before I do that, one more just kind of a roundtable thing. What else can we do? How can we do, I guess, two things. Number one, get new shooters, and not only females, maybe males too, but get new shooters into the fold. And then somebody earlier, I forget who it was, said, we need to just get more knowledge out there into the general public. I think it was you, Trish.
Yeah.
How do we do that? So, Robert, I see that you had mentioned that you might have to be jumping out. So if you have to, then it's been a pleasure, and you're welcome back anytime. So thanks for being here. So do you have anything you want to add on those 2 points? We'll let you go first here, even before we go roundtable.
Well, I'll say one thing. If you can get women on board, men will follow just to impress them. So there's a solution in and of itself.
True.
I spent a lot of my time trying to just, make it easier for women in the state of Illinois to carry a gun. most of the things that I'm doing, again, these are 12 gauge shotguns that I'm giving out, and these are women who traditionally are low income or living in a bad neighborhood or living out in the country all by themselves. And one of the first ladies I I armed, her husband passed away a couple years ago, so she lives by herself in a fairly large property, and she just needed something. And I think that if my strategy is to actually purchase shotguns for women to increase the number of gun owners, because that helps crime deterrence, and of course it helps them individually. Because again, I don't want to hear any stories about women in Mount Vernon, Illinois, being victims of crime like that. It boils my blood, and I can't even talk about it. But so I mean, if people want to help me or do it themselves, they can reach out to me at help50.org. And again, I hate asking for money, so I'm actually probably the worst person to be doing this. But I'm always willing to help and promote through, again, the Armed Citizen Project Facebook page and through help50.org. In fact, I've already kind of promoted a few people while we've been chatting. But if you're worried about me, you say that guy looks suspicious, just do it yourself. Find some woman in your neighborhood who lives by themselves, or just is in a bad situation. Arm them yourself. It's not that expensive, relatively speaking. But that's my spiel, and I just want to say thank you for letting me come on.
Absolutely, thanks for being here, and thanks for not only advancing the pro Second Amendment viewpoint, but also for doing your part to help keep your fellow people, your fellow humans on the planet a little safer. So very cool, very cool. All right, so does anybody else have anything that they want to throw out there as far as how can we bring shooters into the fold? That's great advice, actually, what Robert said. If you get the women to the range, the men will follow. And heck yeah, I mean, anytime that Sandhills Sweetheart tells me she wants to go to the range and go shooting, I'm definitely going to be down for that, and we'll make it happen.
I would suggest taking someone to the range with you. Invest a box of ammo in them. I'll pay for the ammo. You come shoot with me and see if they like it.
Sure. Patriot, were you going to throw something in there?
Yeah, I'm a little different, I guess. Being that I am a blind guy, I started making videos because it kind of it brought it to obviously your guys' attention, but there are a lot of low vision or blind, visually impaired, whatever, people out there that do use firearms. So I know sighted people don't normally think about it, but there are a lot of us out here. And so, me putting myself out there just a little bit, obviously I'm not on camera or anything, but that's just to, protect my family kind of thing. But, if I can put myself out there and it can give that one guy that's, listening, that nudge, or it could change, some guy at a gun shop to, not be a jerk, and know that there are people that adapt and overcome. So
sure. And you, like you said before, I mean, you have a legal license to carry concealed, right?
Yes.
So and the fact that your eyes don't work anymore for you doesn't mean that you can't still have a gun to protect yourself. The Second Amendment applies to you just as much as it does to anybody else.
And if anybody out there doesn't know, I just finished a challenge. It's the Blind Challenge, and you can search it out. It's all over. There's over 50 videos of sighted people trying to do things with blindfolds on. So, and it's all deals with firearms. So
I have to admit that I had every intention of shooting my own video and posting that, and then life got away and I didn't get it done before the contest was over. But that's
what? Not going
to stop me from doing one.
You are in luck, because it is going to continue. If you want to do it, if you get something new, if there's a new, even if it's a, you know, an old rifle that has a different action, if you get something new, do a video like that and just put it up, and you know, just flag me in it so that I can put it in the playlist. Sure. I've got like 57 videos in the playlist as of right now. So
my plan is when I record my video, I'm not going to practice ahead of time. When I do have that video, and I'll have Sandhills Sweetheart hold the camera to make sure that everything stays in frame over my shoulder. But what you're going to see is my first attempt at field stripping and reassembling blindfolded. So it won't be practice. We'll see how well or how poorly I can do on my everyday carry.
Oh, it's so easy. You're going to be fine. It's so easy. I'm just joking, man.
I honestly,
I was sweating like a dog doing mine. I was like, oh.
my shield 9mm. I mean, I think I can. I think I could field strip it in the dark. I've done it so many times.
I said that too, but yeah.
The main thing.
Go ahead, Patriot.
The main thing is the description, just to describe where things are, because when you have to go through 30 videos to find out exactly how to take something apart, because 30 videos people didn't tell you what was actually going on.
Sure.
That's the important thing. And if you do get something that's new, next month, next year, there's a lot of new pistols coming out, and just because the challenge is over doesn't mean I don't want to buy something new. So there's a lot of people out there that can use it, and if you use that in your own videos and your content, but it's not about me. I'm just meaning I'm throwing this stuff out there because there's a lot of people that can shoot if they are properly motivated.
I wanted to add something really quick. I think the best way to get more people out, definitely the education. I personally, I don't like to scare people, but I like to educate people on how, if you really think your neighborhood is very safe and you live in a gated community, then you're wrong. If there's a story, I'll post the story and I'll share the story, because me personally, I don't watch the news because it'll have you slightly depressed. So if there's those different crimes that are going on and you're not aware of them, then you need to be aware, because if something's happening in Illinois, it can easily happen in Florida, So I like to educate people, and I like to just bring it back to the realism for them, How real is it? Like I shared a story of, and this was about 6 months ago, where a lady was taking her kids to school in the morning and someone killed her in front of her 3 kids. Like if you are not armed and able to defend yourself, a story like that should hit home. Everyone that has children have to leave out of their home and put their children in the car, So how many times does someone walk by, or, something can happen to any of us, and a lot of people are just not educated properly on the Second Amendment. Guns don't just shoot people. Cars don't just run people over, So if they get the proper education, then they can make these educated decisions. And I don't argue with people when it comes to the Second Amendment. I just tell people, if you don't want me to be able to defend myself, to go home and make dinner for my kids, or, tuck my kids in at night, then I don't agree with you, and that's your choice, but don't try to take that right away from me, But it's not just women. It's, I'm really big on educating the youth, because a lot of the older people are set in their ways. They have their isms and they're not really going to change. But if you get the kids, you can get it young. And a lot of these accidents that are happening in the homes with kids can completely be avoided, if you take that curiosity out of it. So I'm really big on educating the youth, and, maybe we can get them before they start committing these crimes, because once your rights are taken away, sometimes you can get your rights restored, but I mean, who even wants to go through that, to have their rights taken away? So women, youth, and just someone who can't properly defend themselves, there's a lot of men out there that are my size, they're 5'2", and when it comes to a male that's 6 foot, they probably can't really go hand to hand with them. So just across the board, getting that education out there. And I find that, a lot of people like to watch videos. If it's something that they have to read, they're probably not going to read it. I like to keep my posts pretty short. And if it's something that's going to hit it visually, they're like, oh, okay. Memes, like all those types of things. If I can bring them in, once I get them in, then I can educate it. But it's really those pain points. For me, I'll do anything for my kids, I'll do anything for those kids. So, I will properly defend my family. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't been concealed carrying for 10 years, but I hit a pain point, and it was, I'll never be this scared again, right? And I decided to arm myself. And that's why I decided to, educate other people, because I hate, I don't want to say I hate, let me take that back. I really rather educate you before you become a victim. Like a victim, like that mentality, that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So maybe, and I tell people, I want the cops to arrive. If someone breaks into my home, I want the police to arrive, and, I may be a suspect at that point because that person's dead, but I want them to arrive and I have my side of the story to tell, right? So it's all about that education. And, it's not easy nowadays, but with social media, one video or one post can reach millions of people. So if you guys ever want me to share anything that you guys have, and I just bring it straight down to the human factor. I take color out of it, male, female out of it. Like we're all people, and, there's good and bad people out there, every single color, so I don't care if you're purple. You want to take my class and learn how to defend yourself? Come on out, but I think we have a huge problem that, we can really solve this problem if we all come together, but we're so divided right now. There's people who are pro Second Amendment and people who are anti Second Amendment. But then the people who are pro, we're still divided amongst ourselves, So if we can all just come together and educate each other, then I think, more good guys and girls with guns, we're going to start outnumbering these bad guys, and we're going to make a difference.
Absolutely. But we also need to do our part. And I know that I preach about this maybe ad nauseum, but we all need to do our part at the poll and make sure that we're getting out and casting those votes. And the only way that we're going to change some of this is to elect these people who will do what we want them to do. Because again, they represent us. We don't work for them. And so we need to make sure that we're doing our part as citizens to cast that vote. And maybe more people will vote for somebody else, but at least we can say that we did our part. And I think if we could all unite, I mean, there's what, 100 million gun owners in this country. If we could all get on the same page, I mean, nobody would mess with us. Plus, we've got all the guns, right? So they wouldn't dare.
Well, you hit a topic near and dear to my heart. One thing, being an informed voter, make sure you're looking at the candidate's stance on the rights that matter to you. And then once they're voted in, you cannot let go. You have to follow up. You need to stay an informed voter through their entire time of service. You need to watch them like a hawk. You need to inform them. You need to educate them. When you think about yourself as a constituent, you are an exponential number. So your representative, whether it's at the state, local, or national level, when they receive a piece of communication from you, it's a phone call, an email, a visit, they imagine that you are a number of their constituents, whether it's in the tens, hundreds, or thousands, depending on the level. So every time you speak up and you share our message, your message is magnified, and they think that you're representing a number of us. And so you really need to understand it's not just you're representing other gun owners. And so every time there's a situation where a piece of legislation or an opportunity to contact your elected official exists, take that opportunity. 5-10 minutes of your day can make a huge difference in the lives and rights of others. The fact that so many of our brothers and sisters don't have the same rights and privileges that we do in the states that we're currently in. I escaped from California when I joined the military. It was the best darn decision I ever made. And at the same time, we still have to fight for rights in our state, Nebraska. We're surrounded by states that have better gun laws than us, and that's just a disappointment. And it's because we're lackadaisical and we're relaxed and we think nothing's going to happen. But as soon as you stop working, that's when those who are working against us will win.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've got a question here. I don't know if somebody in the chat, I think maybe asked this. So I'm just going to put it through the three ladies that we have in the panel here. And if you don't want this knowledge known, you have the option to decline to answer. But I'm going to go through and start with Trish. If you are a licensed concealed carrier, what do you carry? And if you have more than one gun, what do you typically carry? Or maybe you want to address all of them. And how do you carry? And
okay,
don't just say on or off body, because people want to know what's working for you that they might be able to try for themselves.
All right. So I'm a fluffy girl. So in the wintertime, I take advantage of that. And I carry a Beretta Storm in 45 outside the waistband holster. During the summertime, it's either going to be my Springfield XD subcompact, or if I'm wearing something cuter, a Ruger LC9 with a lot of extra mags. Additionally, I will also carry an additional firearm in my purse. And so that in the event I'm carrying something smaller with less mags, I have backup.
Okay. All right. Ashley, same question.
I've got a little 380 bodyguard, and then I've got a Remington R1 1911. I am actually more comfortable with the 1911 than I am the 380 bodyguard. And I usually just carry it in my purse.
Do you have an actual gun purse, or have you adapted a regular purse, or how do you do that?
I've just adapted a regular purse. I don't carry a whole lot, so the most I carry is my gun and my wallet.
And then I'm curious, because I know that Sandhills Sweetheart is curious about some purse carry, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. What did you do to adapt it? Because I'm hoping that what you're going to tell us is, whatever you've done, your trigger guard stays protected and covered, right?
Yeah, it stays covered and protected. Like I said, I really don't carry a whole lot in my purse other than my wallet.
Okay.
So nothing really touches it.
Okay, cool. All right. And then Skip, do you carry?
I do. I carry a Glock 43, and at times I carry a SIG P365.
Okay.
I normally carry, so I guess I'll call myself curvy. I'm not really, I don't want to say skinny. So I have a bigger upper half, and I tend to carry in a belly band holster, and it's a holster that I can wear year round. So here in Florida, it gets pretty warm, and it's something that I can have my firearm on my body, and those are both two pretty small firearms, and I also carry a spare mag and a flashlight with me because I never know what I'm going to encounter, what or when I will encounter a threat. But I am a big fan of carrying off body as well. I will admit that I was very biased towards off-body carry until this year because every concealed carry handbag that I saw looked hideous. And I really couldn't fathom going out in public with that bag. It would scream like, hey, look at my ugly purse and I have a gun in it, So I'm really big on finding things that work for me and spreading it out to the masses because I'm not a huge fan of wasting my money, and I don't want others to waste their money as well. But I found a concealed carry purse company that, I tried. I would have people who would reach out to me and ask me, hey, will you try this product, or will you review this for me? And I'm very honest. I'm like, I will, but you may not like my review. So I got this purse, and I'm not going to lie, like I carried it all the time, and I would be one of those types of people that had so much stuff in my purse, right? And I just found that this purse not only worked for me during the day, but I could convert it to night as well. And it just had a completely separate compartment for my firearm. I didn't have to worry about anything. And it also comes with a holster. So I would say maybe 50% of the time, you know, if I'm out and I may be wearing something that's form fitting, I have no problem putting my firearm in my handbag, but I'm committed to keeping my handbag on my body, which sometimes that may be a little bit harder. You know, it's like, man, I can't sit my purse down because I have my firearm in it. But the concealed carry handbag, I do want to put this out there for any female who may carry in a handbag. Try to get out to a range and practice, you know, actually shooting from your handbag, because, you know, you will encounter different bumps in the road when it comes to drawing from your handbag. And, you know, you want to, a lot of people talk about converting a Michael Kors or a Louis Vuitton, and, you know, I love all of those handbags. But when it came to me having my firearm, I had to say, okay, well, if I'm going to put my gun in my purse, then I need to carry this type of purse. And then if I want to carry a Louis Vuitton, then I need to make sure my gun's on my body, you know, because every single time I go to draw that firearm, I want to know exactly where it is.
Good advice. Good advice. So the purse that you actually did get find success with in carrying, what brand is that? So that people who want to look for their own can find that. It still looks good too.
So the brand is Chameleon Concealed Carry Handbags. And, you know, I believe in that company, and I don't want to say advocate for them, but I do. But I became a dealer for that company because, you know, the bags are stylish and they don't scream, hey, look, I'm ugly and there's a gun inside of me.
So do you have a link to that then on your website?
Yes, they're actually listed on I sell them personally, so they're listed on my website.
So somebody can go to Skip's Tactical Solutions.com,
and then in my shop is a list of the Chameleon Concealed Carry handbags. And they have big, they have small, they have backpacks. But what I do really appreciate about the company is, you know, the handbag comes with a holster included. That way you can Velcro it and move it around however you need to.
That sounds like a great idea. Awesome. All right. So any other last words as far as bringing people into the fold, or new and effective ways even for carrying off body or on body for ladies? Being the Travis and I always joke, we call it the tactical dad body type. I mean, I'm not a little fella.
Tactical muffin top, dude.
Muffin top. Or
well, dad bod's the overall form. That's our fit and finish, but it's the muffin top specifically that interferes. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I have my own challenges as far as on body carry, but I am not shaped like like a woman is, and so I know that creates different sets of challenges for on body carry. One thing I want to throw out, and I should have gotten some more invites out beforehand, and we've got actually in our gun channels community, we've got a lot of ladies who are part of the community, and they've gotten together and formed their own gun channel and YouTube channel and Facebook page called Gun Gals, and you can check that out too. I did post a link earlier up in the YouTube chat, and I'll try and get those in the side chat here too for those of you who aren't looking at YouTube right now here. But if you can just check out, Gun Gals. I mean, they've got some great carry solutions too that they've found. I know that a few of them were together at Wanamaker's this last April when we were all there, and they found I don't know the name, but I know that there was a belly band they were all raving about. That the way they were talking, it did really, really well for concealed carry on a variety of body types. So that was apparently that's a big deal.
Was it La Femme Fatale?
Yeah, that does sound right.
Okay.
I know when it comes to women, a obstacle when it comes to concealed carry is, so my husband can easily carry something on his hip and he can conceal it. But for me, women, normally our hips are going to go out a bit, right? So if we put a firearm on the side of our hips, it's going to stick out even more, so we're not going to be able to conceal that as much. So appendix carry, but when it comes, another thing, I know me personally, I never really wear a belt. I have to wear a belt to work every single day. When I come home, I sling it like across the room. I'm more of a leggings and a t-shirt type of person, or a dress. So if you're going to carry with a holster, make sure that you get a quality holster. You can find something out there that's cheap, but you want to buy it once. You don't want to have to go through all these, and you'll probably go through a few different ones until you find the one that you absolutely love. But it's not one holster for every single occasion. This is a lifestyle that you will have to put some money into and get a quality holster. But you also, if you're getting a Kydex holster and you're going to be appendix, or carrying inside the waistband, you need a quality belt. Someone posted in one of my groups the other day, and I didn't even know people were still doing this, that someone had reached out because wife reached out because her husband's just sticking the gun in his pants without a holster. I'm like, people still do that? Like, I thought we were way beyond that.
Yeah, there was a horror story being passed around social media here just last week where somebody was doing that and actually shot himself in the groin area. Not a good place to take a bullet for anybody, because he was doing that exact thing. His gun was in his pants, not secure in a holster of any kind, and it slipped. It wasn't secure at all, and it shifted on him. And yeah, bad things happened, and he's paying a lot of stupid tax now.
Wasn't he also in the meat department?
I believe so. Yes.
And then another thing with women, there's a lot of things that are being marketed to us, right, that may not necessarily be the best fit for us. So I'm not an advocate of putting a gun in my bra, because when you're putting a gun in your bra, you're going to need to go to and I tell people, like, you're going to need to go to the range and pull that gun out of your bra and shoot it, because you don't want it to be the first time, when you encounter a threat and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, but just be aware of your body, and your body type is not the same as the next person's body type. So for me, I know the different features of my body that, I may have to work around. And for the people who don't really dry fire or practice from their holster, those are things that they're not going to be aware of.
Absolutely. And I think that no matter who you are, whatever gender, whatever your body type, I mean, as concealed carriers, we all go on this same journey, and it's not something that we can learn from anybody else's experience. We all have to experience this ourselves. You have to get to the point where you do decide to get that high quality belt. I wear a belt that's got a steel core in it even, and I've set metal detectors off when I wasn't carrying because of my belt. Obviously after the pat down, they knew that I was not armed, but I mean, I've had that detain me just because I wear this belt every day at work. When I'm dressed up, dressed down, whatever I'm wearing, it's a Bigfoot gun belt, and it's got a steel core in it, and this thing does absolutely holds its shape. But it doesn't matter what you've tried, you're going to find something that works eventually, and you're going to go through a few belts, and you're going to go through a ton of holsters. And anybody who's been carrying for more than a year or two has that drawer full of holsters. We all hear about that drawer. We all smile because we've got one, at least one. And it's something that, holsters are like shoes or like coats. Yeah, you've got more than one pair of shoes. You've got more than one coat because you wear them for different times and for different things. And sometimes, excuse me, sometimes I don't have to tuck my shirt into my pants and keep concealed, and other times I do. And so, some holsters are tuckable, some are not. I mean, yeah, sometimes they don't go in your waistband, sometimes they go in your pocket or in a handbag or in a fanny pack or whatever. So yeah, we've all got different things that we've all tried, and then what we need to do a better job of is finding that exchange place where we can all get together and trade these used holsters around. And I'm not using this one, I'm never going to use it, and I'm probably not going to sell it, but if somebody can get some good out of it, maybe we can swap and I'll try one of those. So there needs to be a better option for that, I think, for the secondhand holster business.
There are a lot of concealed carry holsters and purses on Gunstreamer that Gun Gals does, Armed and Feminine does some. MW Tactical, I know, did a review on a belt. There's tons of them on Gunstreamer that you guys can check out.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, those of us that haven't had to take off, and again, Robert, if you catch the end of the chat here later on, we're sure glad that you were with us. So everybody, if you haven't yet, make sure that you remember help50.org, and that's HELP50.org if you want to be part of that and either start up your own chapter or help arm some of the ladies in Southern Illinois where Robert is. So I'm just going to go back through the panel here and just let everybody any closing statements, and if you have a YouTube channel you want to plug, now is the time. Also, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you have a website or organizations or other projects, then you're sure welcome to bring those up again too in closing. So we'll start back at the top and we'll go with Mr. David Bowling.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Sometimes it's good to sit back and listen. One of the things that I would add to the education thing is you have to be realistic in educating people as well. A 6'5" guy is going to always have a better chance against a 5'2" girl or guy, and a lot of people want to push, martial arts training and self-defense classes. Those are all fine and dandy, but a person can only exert so much aggression. And if the level of aggression that you can put forward with your own two hands or your own martial arts training isn't good enough to subdue the person that's coming after you, that's why the firearm has evolved to being the top of the food chain when it comes to self-defense. And so we got to make sure that we don't just tell people, yeah, you can go out and, learn karate and you don't need a gun. Karate's only going to get you so far. So I appreciate everybody's input today, and it was really proud to be able to sit back and listen to everybody's stories. And thanks for having me. I always appreciate a good conversation. And that's it. Just everybody have a great night.
Awesome. And again, thanks for being here, and thanks for all your support, both in our personal lives and of the channel. All right, Patricia, any closing thoughts for you? And again, go ahead and throw your organizations, the many organizations that you are part of, back out one more time for everybody.
Just a few hats. So if you're a woman or you know a woman who could benefit from training and education, I highly recommend the Well-Armed Women Shooting Chapters. It's a nonprofit. It's across the nation, over 10,000 members. You want to go to twawshootingchapters.org, and you can find your state and find a chapter. And if you're a firearms instructor and you want to start a chapter to help support women and empower and educate them, I can help you get that done. If you're a Nebraskan and you're interested in learning about gun rights and what's going on in our unicameral, you want to become a member of NFOA, which is the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association, and you'll find us at nebraskafirearms.org. Vote and keep your elected officials accountable.
Absolutely. And NFOA is free to join. There are no membership dues unless you choose to support them financially.
Exactly.
So, all right, Patriot in the Dark, closing thoughts from you, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was nice to hear everybody. Patriot in the Dark. I'm on guntube.org, Gunstreamer, and YouTube. You can find my channel on gunchannels.com. It's free to join. It is the dark side, of course, kind of fitting, I guess. And since Christmas is coming up, make sure you check out gear websites. Good stocking stuffers over there. And that's it.
Very cool stuff over at Gear website.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I will add you to my distribution list. So any of these 2A Tuesday chats you want to be part of, I'll send a link out. I always send out a link to way more people than can fit. So the first 9 people to get in. That's how I do that.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Ashley, thanks for joining us. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, definitely jump on Gunstreamer if you guys haven't checked it out. A lot like YouTube, but we actually support guns. Yeah, if you have a YouTube account and want to plug it into our website, we can do an auto upload on it. Just sign up with an account and shoot an application over to us and we'll get you taken care of. Yeah, we're on Facebook, YouTube, or not YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. So check us out.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your viewpoints. All right, Sarge, C4 Defense.
Hello. I appreciate the invite. I enjoyed getting to talk with some of the people that are new to me on the panel. I enjoyed being here, and I like hearing other people's points of view. And got a little bit going on tomorrow. Going to record some video, hopefully, if now that we're through this snowstorm. So I appreciate the invite.
Did you have Snowmageddon there too?
It depended. I mean, we had like 12 inches here at the house, but we had to go some places where there was 2.5 feet. So it just depends on where you're at.
I won't complain about the 3 inches that I was scooping off the sidewalk the other day then. Absolutely. Okay. Well, thanks for being here, Sarge. It's always a pleasure. Like I said before, I love having your perspectives here on our chats. Skip, thanks for joining us. And again, Trish and Skip both, if you want, I'll add you to the distribution list. You're always welcome to come back in and join us anytime you want to for 2A Tuesdays. We do this, health permitting, we do this every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Central. So
That'd be great.
Any closing thoughts for you, Skip?
Yes, so you can find me at skipstacticalsolutions.com, and on my website, I have my classes and I have a store for you to purchase products. And I just recently started a podcast, and it is Skip's Tactical Solutions, and you can find it on all major platforms. I'm trying to push the education knowledge out on whatever platforms I can. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Skip's Tactical Solutions, which my handle is Skip's Tactical Solutions across all platforms. And I do a weekly live video on Facebook and Instagram where I answer questions that have been sent in to me. So the weekly live is on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I really appreciate you guys for having me on. And if anyone ever has any questions for me, they can feel free to reach out to me on all of those platforms, or just shoot me an email over at skipstacticalsolutions@gmail.com.
Awesome. And again, welcome and thanks for being here. So, all right, Squib Load, you've had some great thoughts that, as always, that you shared with the group. Any closing thoughts?
With regard to women getting into firearms, I've heard this in training and I've witnessed it myself. Women take to shooting skills typically better than men, and women are typically better shots than men. And for any lady who is out there who's intimidated, give it a try. If you have a bad experience, take a step back, give it a try again. You'd be surprised at what you're capable of.
Absolutely. Yes, and I've seen in my own experiences too that women typically are better shots and pick it up quicker.
Yep.
We were going to let you guys say that. We weren't going to say it.
It's just true.
No, it's completely true. My wife can shoot me. Oh, yeah. God, it's ridiculous.
They listen. The guys already know they know everything. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
When you
it's about hit the freaking bullseye.
They listen.
Yeah.
So if you've got the husband or boyfriend that's really competitive and he takes you out and he gives you a gun that's way too big and doesn't explain stuff to you and he's being kind of a jerk, don't walk away from it and go, I don't want to do anything. No, go back at it. And then before you know it, you're out shooting him, and all his friends are teasing him because his wife can outshoot him. I've seen that too.
Unless it's like a 44 mag snub nose, that's just downright painful. All right, that's when you walk away. I walk away from that.
I mean, we've all seen those videos go around Facebook or wherever, where, you know, somebody hands his girlfriend who, you know, weighs 90 pounds soaking wet this, you know, 12 gauge shotgun loaded with goose loads, or that 44 Magnum pistol,
500 Smith.
Yeah, and then, you know, she shoots it, it jumps out of her hands or hits her in the face or whatever. He's laughing at her. She's not only in pain, she's embarrassed. That's the fastest way to get somebody to never shoot again.
Yep.
So just to echo what Squib said, don't walk away from learning how to shoot. Ladies, if you've ever had that experience, walk away from that jerk. And whether or not you end the relationship, just don't go shooting with him. Reach out to Skip, reach out to Patricia, or anybody else close to you who actually knows how to teach you the right way and the proper things that you need to know to learn how to shoot. And then, yeah, show back up and show those guys up on the range and show them how you really are a better shot than he is. Get back at him where it's really going to hurt him. So, all right, Travis.
Right.
Yeah, again, I echo the sentiments of everybody here. That's the best thing about going at the end. I agree with you all. You know, if you are female and you're looking for, you know, you want some instruction, you don't know where to start, just go on Facebook. Just type in, you know, female gun instructors, female firearm instructors, or female gun groups in whatever state you live in. That's a great way to start. If somebody's going to take you to the range, or or guys or girls, gals, it's our responsibility to educate people and do invite people to go to the range and get in on the wonderful Second Amendment that we have and firearms ownership. You know, these things are great. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just an awesome experience, and, you know, I appreciate the invite to being here. As for the channel, you know, check out my channel, Travis P11, over on YouTube, and I do put all my videos up on Gunstreamer and YouTube and GunTube.org and GunChannels.com. And that's about it for me, man. Thank you.
Awesome. And as always, it's always a pleasure to have you be part of the show too.
Thanks,
real quick, I want to shout out Armament and Axes out in the YouTube chat. AA, thanks for the super chat. That was very nice of you. So thanks for that. And then we'll do some roll call here real quick. But first, I will again just let everybody know my name is Sandhills Shooter. Right next to me is Sandhills Sweetheart. And she's here to make sure that I look like I know what I'm doing. You can find us on here at YouTube. You can find us on gunchannels.com. We are simulcast there right now too. You can find us on Gunstreamer. Like I said, that one's easy because I don't even have to lift a finger. And this chat goes right over to Gunstreamer. Should be there by morning. You can also see us on YouTube, guntube.org. And if you haven't heard of that one yet, go check that out and give it some love, because we've got another one of our Gun Channels members named Night Strike who's trying to get that platform off the ground. Just in case YouTube pulls the plug, we want to have the gun streamers and the gun tubes available to fall back on. And then you can also catch us on Facebook as well. Always Sandhills Shooter. Excuse me. Hold on a second. After talking for 2 hours straight, my voice always wants to do this to me. So, all right, over here in the YouTube, or excuse me, on the Gun Channels side, we've had a few people chiming in over there. So we've got General Relativity, we've got Roosted, we've got, who else has been through here? Gizzard Gary was on the YouTube side. We had Yoder over there earlier, USMC 1812. I think I saw Ohio 45 ACP in there earlier too. So thanks everybody for joining us on the Gun Channel side. And then in the YouTube side, we've got, of course, AA. We've got Rich White. We've got Ozzy Osbourne, Rob D. 9mm Mia was here. Thanks for some good stuff there, Mia. We've got Sarge in the chat and on the panel. We've got Joseph Cooper. Sandhills Sweetheart, of course, is there and here. Two Live Moo is in the house. Rupan RX is in the house. Gizzard Gary is over there as well. David Bowling is there and here. Georgia Trucker 69. was listening in as I flip through here. Ashley J was there and here. I know there's more people. We had Vanessa Kitty. Angelina was here. Boob Sweat was in the house. Blue Steel 44. All kinds of people joining us tonight. Travis P11 was there and here. I know I'm going to skip some people as I flip through here. I always do. Make sure that you comment often if you want to be shouted out. Obnoxious One was here. A lot of these folks, normally we have them in the panel, but I had to make room, so I didn't send as many invites out as I normally do tonight. So everybody, if I've missed you, I didn't mean to, but I think that Grim 90 was in the house. I'm trying to scroll through here as I talk and read as I talk. You guys know how I have a problem with that. I think that's most everybody that's been here in the chat. So thanks everyone for joining us. Again, if you have not checked everybody out, make sure you go to nebraskafirearms.org. Go find the local well-armed woman chapters in your area. Go to skipstacticalsolutions.com. Go to gunstreamer.com. Go to help50.org and check everybody out that was nice enough to support our chat tonight. And then, of course, go check out everybody's channel here on the panel. So David Bowling, Patriot in the Dark, Gunstreamer, or Ashley J, Sarge at C4 Defense, Squibload, Travis P11. Make sure that you're checking everybody out. Go to gunchannels.com, become a member. It's free. And it doesn't matter what you're into, whether it's defense or sport shooting or hunting or collecting, gunsmithing, whatever you're into. If it has to do with the Second Amendment or guns, there's somebody at Gun Channels that's into it too, and you can strike up a good conversation there with lots of people, and it's growing all the time. So with that, we will sign off here. Thanks everybody for joining us, and God bless everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.